Alright, yes, now I am live playing the Horse Girl game. We're gonna turn down the background music a little bit, because this is really loud. We're gonna turn down the background music a little bit, because this is really loud. And I mute that because do all this. Of course, I just started, so there's a bunch of like just random crap happening. I just need like my settings and things. I was just in there a minute ago. There we go, sound. Let's crank that down to... Alright. That works. Let me go through collecting some of this other crap first. Because I have a thing to talk about with this game. I want to make sure I'm not going to be interrupted by stupid stuff. So. Why am I playing the Horse Girl game? Well, first, it's an extremely popular game right now. With all my stuff back. Good, there we go. Let me get my script going so I can start talking about this. Right. How's this sound? Hello. Hello. Alright. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about, is Japanese organized crime going after Pixiv artists? Goonie your own risk, because it's the girls of Uma Musume. So a patron suggested this game to me based on a thread that apparently started going down on Pixiv, where... artists that were drawing NSFW fan art of some of the girls were actually getting comments from people claiming connections to the Japanese mafia, specifically the YAKUZA. So I couldn't help but dig into this a little bit. Disclaimer, there's a big fat allegedly all over these claims. Oh, that's annoying. Let's... So what happened and where did the rumors start? And first, what the hell am I even talking about? So yeah, Uma Musume is a franchise created by Sai Games that started off as a manga all the way back in 2016. So why are we talking about this now? Well, next year will be the 10th anniversary of the series. So that's a big deal also. Quickly, will you hurry up, please? Thank you, bye-bye. Recently, this game adaptation of Uma Musume released on Steam, Android, and iOS. That's been pretty popular with streamers, and I was actually just watching Radioactive play this game last night. By the way, we're also talking to her about providing a voice at one point. Another reason might be that the potential rumors of mafia involvement with the series, but why? So as long as 3 years ago, on r/green text, a screenshot of an old 4chan thread tells the story of a Pixiv artist who was allegedly contacted by someone with the YAKUZA regarding his art of Uma Musume characters. Granted, this one is probably fake. 4chan isn't really a source of reliable information, but I want to believe this story is true because it sounds like Breaking Bad for Gooners. This guy, if he exists, is like the Heisenberg of horse. Another Reddit thread turned up on r/anime memes about a year ago that seems related, allegedly taken from the artist's Pixiv account, including a link to the Cygames terms of service. Which, I do actually have the Cygames terms of service pulled up here. And this is specifically on Pretty Derby fan-created content guidelines. It says, many of the characters found in Uma Musume Pretty Derby are based on real-life racehorses from horse racing history, and their names are borrowed with the permission of the respective owners. It is thanks to the cooperation of these owners, the horses' fans, and many others have been able to bring Uma Musume to life. As such, any works that could harm or otherwise discomfort any of the above parties will not be tolerated. As part of this stance, we kindly ask that fans avoid sharing or usage of works with any Uma Musume Pretty Derby elements that meet the following criteria. And it says, number 1 is works that are made with the intent to injure the reputation of the franchise or other third parties. Works of violent, sexual, or otherwise obscene nature. Works that advocate to criticize political views, religion, or ideology, or the use of derivative works for these purposes. Works that involve illegal activities or other inappropriate conduct. Works that infringe upon the rights of a third party. Works that works or activities intended for commercial use or profit. Works of the use of derivative works might otherwise be deemed inappropriate when taken in the context of this list. So, there we have it right there, number 2, works of violent, sexual, or obscene nature. But, does that actually mean the YAKUZA is involved? Well, first we need to understand where this YAKUZA theory comes from. So, although the idea the YAKUZA is behind Cygames' terms of service sounds far-fetched, it may stem from multiple cultural misunderstandings and fringe reports, such as the historical context. In the past, some YAKUZA groups were known to have stakes in gambling industries, including unofficial horse race betting circuits or racecourse operations. However, the Japan Racing Association has worked hard to eliminate that influence over the past 3 decades. Some sectors of Japan's entertainment industry, especially in music, AV industry, and nightlife, had YAKUZA involvement in the 1980s and 1990s. That legacy occasionally fuels speculation about big money franchises like Uma Musume. And besides, on platforms like 4chan and Reddit, it's probably just meme culture. For instance, draw lewds of Silent Suzuka and the YAKUZA will show up at your house. This is clearly a joke, or even some form of hyperbole, often referencing Pixiv account bans or takedowns experienced by users uploading NSW fan art, as outlined in their terms of service. Cygames has issued content takedowns through Japanese legal channels, and several NSFW creators on Pixiv, Fantia, and Twitter have had their content removed or accounts suspended. These actions have led to community reactions, including some claiming they were threatened or visited by unknown individuals after posting lewd Uma Musume fan art, but with no verifiable proof that it exists. Some fans have speculated that Pixiv acts under pressure from Cygames, which aggressively protects its IP, which also is not uncommon in Japan. So, There's no confirmed connection between Uma Musume's anti-lewd terms of service and the Japanese Yakuza. The content policy seems to be rooted in just respect for real racehorse legacies and licensing agreements with conservative owners, plus corporate image protection. However, the strictness of involvement, combined with Japan's history of organized crime and entertainment, may have spawned these rumors and urban legends, especially in Western fan communities. If any documentation ever suggests such a link, it remains unsubstantial by journalistic or legal evidence. Horse racing in Japan, especially under the Japanese Racing Association, is one of the few legal betting outlets, and this has made it ripe for target of Yakuza influence, particularly in the 1950s to 1980s, when Japan saw unprecedented economic growth and a burgeoning gambling culture. Yakuza groups allegedly ran illegal betting rings, especially off-track betting, where they could manipulate odds or results. Some groups were rumored to bribe low-tier jockeys, trainers, or even track workers to fix races, and syndicates may have used horse ownership or breeding as a laundering front, masking illicit funds as legitimate investments. There are some unconfirmed but persistent rumors that some horse owners during Japan's boom era had underworld ties. While the JRA strictly regulates modern ownership prior to major reforms in the 1990s, background checks were far more lenient, and Yakuza-affiliated businessmen occasionally entered the sport under pseudonyms or through proxies. Sometimes they also sponsored stables or training facilities by shell companies and were occasionally reported in exposés. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Japanese lawmakers introduced sweeping laws to curtail the influence of organized crime, such as the anti-Borokudan ordinances, making it illegal to do business with the Yakuza. The JRA also did licensing reforms to enhance background checks for jockeys, owners, breeders, and trainers, plus the 5-year antisocial rule. This meant that individuals formerly affiliated with crime groups are barred from licenses or contract with public institutions for 5 years or more. This sort of blacklisting of certain owners and companies from owning horses or entering JRA events enhanced scrutiny of major racetracks like Tokyo, Kyoto, and Henshin. And the pressure on gambling-linked companies to cut ties with any antisocial forces such as the Yakuza really ramped up during this time. So there are no publicly verified records that exist of a current high-profile jockey trainer or breeder with a confirmed Yakuza past in the JRA ecosystem today. However, several retired individuals and low-tier regional racing figures have spoken about historic associations, either direct or indirect. And a few tell-all books and exposés in Japanese from the Shukan Post Spa magazine have hinted at unnamed breeders with murky pasts, but none have led to official action or were confirmed. In 2007, an anonymous former trainer of the Shukan Bushan interview claimed that we were told to cooperate with the stable funding partner who had a history of Goto Gumi, a Yakuza faction, and we didn't ask questions. Of course not, why would you? But again, these remain unconfirmed or reflective of a climate of intimidation and silence that prevailed in a mid-century Japanese sports culture. So, there is some residual cultural influence. Even if the Yakuza are gone from JRA circuits, the cultural influence lingers in the hyper-clean image management of the JRA and Sai games in the content of Uma Musume. Also, the strict corporate codes designed to avoid any hint of antisocial affiliation. So, this stigmatization with former affiliates, many of whom find it difficult to work in legitimate industries, including horse racing, due to registry blacklists. Here's the Reddit thread. Why is community so against any kind of NSW content? And looking through these comments, here we go. The horse mafia Yakuza thing is basically a meme. However, it's true the horses are owned by powerful or rich people who grant Sai Games the right to depict their property, which have to be living or once living beings, many with legendary reputations. The caliber of horse that would be added to UMA is often a Hall of Fame level, and horse racing is popular with highly regarded in Japan, whereas long has been declined in much of the West. This gap leads to an almost irreconcilable cultural rift because of our more lax attitude toward fan-made parody depictions and a lack of understanding of the reverence held toward the source material and the sport associated with it. Keep in mind, this is one of the few legal ways that horse racing, that any kind of gambling can be done in Japan. But yeah, so is there mafia involvement? No. There's more than likely not any mafia involvement with the horse game. However, we should probably go ahead and respect the rights of these horses, their owners, and follow the terms of service, right? I mean, when you really think about it, like, let's really think about how it might feel for, like, this is why I don't get into, like, when people lewd, like, actual, like, people, like, it's one thing to do characters, right? But, like, if you do, like, the voice behind the character, that's gross. And so I can see how, like, it would be kind of gross with, like, this whole thing with the horses being, like, actual, like, celebrities. Like, these are the horses' names. Like, Silent Suzuka is, like, a legitimate horse. In fact, I can probably find a picture of him real quick. Yes, him, by the way. Here we go. This is Silent Suzuka on Wikipedia. A Japanese thoroughbred horse who won the Grade 1 Takarazuka Kinen in 1998. Sex, stallion. Not that's particularly important for the character, but I thought it was a neat detail. So, that being said, I may continue to play the horse game off and on, but I wanted to talk about that little topic first. My real goal today is going to be playing Assassin's Creed again. We got to get through that. I have to get through that game so that I can potentially move on to Persona 5 or another Assassin's Creed. But it's probably at this point going to be Persona 5 because I've also been playing the Phantom X, and I want to try to avoid any spoilers for Persona 5 if I can. Yeah, I still haven't played it. The game is ancient and I still haven't played it. So, I'm going to get off this one for now, and we're going to go over to Assassin's Creed. Give me just a few minutes to switch platforms and whatnot. Alright, guys? I'll be right back.